the way
This
that we
conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We'll have the call to order. And we'll have the confirmation of the agenda. Now, this will be an amended agenda, won't it, love? So, okay, be resolved that the committee confirm the agenda as amended. Do I have a mover?
So moved.
And Michael, second. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll carry that. Declaration of pecuniary interest. If there is any, you can say it now or anytime during the meeting. Delegations and presentations. I don't believe we have any, do we, Holly? Nope.
No, we do
Okay. Pardon? Nope. Okay. Thank you. So the adoption minutes. Any discussion? Nope. Be it resolved that the committee approve the minutes from the July 26, 2022 Affordable Attainable Housing Committee meeting as presented. Do I have a mover there? Michael? I guess I can move it too, can't I? Or being the chair, or no?
And no, we would prefer
No,
not.
that's what I thought.
If, yeah, if Jerry or Muriel would second it, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'll
Jerry
second.
again. Second it. Thank you. I'm just moving up my scroll here. Okay, staff update 7.1. Dave's coming in. The South Gray Housing Development Corporation presentations. I'm just trying to find it here. Okay.
Dave, can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay.
No problem.
Sorry, you have me up on the agenda right now?
Yeah, we can, if you wanted to talk about it, Dave, that's fine. We could discuss it between ourselves, what we thought before you want to speak about it, if you're having trouble.
No, I just, I took on a project here at home that was, I should have quit sooner, but anyway, lost track of time.
I hear you there.
So,
I hear you there.
So you're looking just for an update, and Jerry and John attended, like you're talking about the South Gray presentation. So
Yeah.
I think we well received in Gray Highlands, and they were very supportive in Hanover and West Gray, which John attended with me because Jerry had a conflict. But I think it went over amazingly well. And like our next plan is to get terms of reference that I think every municipality would like representation on, and I want to take that to council. I'm planning for September the 7th. We'll see where that goes, and then bring it to this committee for discussion as well as the other partners. And this be to try and create a framework to pull 4 municipalities together. When we were at Roma, I attended a county delegation with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the CEO of the county mentioned our initiative down here in the south, and the parliamentary assistant, I believe, I think it was Deputy Minister of Housing actually, was very impressed with that idea and thinks we need to do more of it. So we got really good kudos. My bad, I'm still kind of trying to put a report together for council for the AMO conference. And one of the things was I was planning on bringing the delegation report, but I haven't got it from the county. I've got it in hard copy. It's a very good report from the county, what we presented there. So, you know, and we can talk about the Roma report a bit later.
Okay.
Maybe Jerry and John have something to add that maybe I missed something that.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry. Yep, thanks, Dave. Go ahead, Jerry.
I went to the Grey Highlands, and David did a really good job, and it was well received. I think in the Flesherton Advance paper today, I don't know if you can see this headline. There's a really, really good article, and it covers a lot of material that David covered at the presentation. So if you get a chance to find that in Flesherton Advance, it's a really, really good article. Good coverage. So, and I have nothing further to say other than it's just great to see this moving along. We just need to keep it, if we can just keep it rolling. And while I think of it, and I have to do things when I think of them, I'm just wondering, David, our next meeting, is there a chance we could have your replacement, the new CAO, possibly attend our next meeting? Just wondering if that's possible. So.
Not likely the September meeting, possibly the October meeting.
Okay. Yep.
That's good.
Um,
Okay. Any questions from anyone? Oh, Muriel, go ahead.
Just a comment that I missed the last meeting, and it was really great to read the minutes and then see all the information that's come out and see how far things have traveled and with the other municipalities. That's wonderful. Thank you.
So, Dave, with the municipalities kind of coming on board, do you have any sense of how Grey County feels about it? Because they have their own, don't they?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
They have a committee, much more like our group here.
Yeah.
And I'll maybe defer to the mayor. He is more involved there than my knowledge. But I would say they have a committee. They're not looking at really a housing corporation. I mean, their housing work is through Anne Marie Shaw, and that's more subsidized housing. One thing that I forgot to mention is we got a very nice, in light of the mayor and I presenting to Hanover, we got a very nice email from her. And it was in the council agenda, and I should have passed it over here, but I'll just read it to you. Good afternoon, Mayor Woodbury and CEO Dave. Thank you for attending our August 2022 meeting as a delegation to provide information about the South Grey Housing Development Corporation proposal. Hanover Council expressed their support of exploring the feasibility of a local attainable housing development corporation. We look forward to hearing more about this proposal. Best regards, Sue. And that's Sue Patterson, Mayor of the town of Hanover. So I just thought I'd share that with you when my memory, like Jerry, is coming back in pieces here.
That's good. And
there it is in front of me. Sorry, I went to my files to read it, but anyway, thank you, Holly.
Yeah, and the one thing we should stress with the Housing Corporation is that it will be its own entity within hopefully a number of years. I think that's a question that some people will look at and say, well, how are we going to afford it? That's an important aspect of it, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's going to still need the support. I think the moral support of committees like this from each municipality, hopefully less on financial support, that it can stand on its own with some subsidies from, different organizations, not necessarily municipalities.
Okay.
Michael had a comment.
Michael? Yeah.
Yeah, on the same thing, I met with the new company here in Dundalk on, today, Tuesday. So I met them on Monday. I met with Flex Modular, and they're doing a bunch of projects right now in this same field. And so I'm sending him the presentation that Dave presented. He wants to get involved. He's doing a lot of this work up north. He's shipping houses right now to Sudbury. He's working on some in Barrie, and then he's got some up in Chapleau. And they're looking at putting solar panels on these houses. They're looking at stacking them, going 4 or 6 high. to make even more affordable housing. So they were, well, they took me for a tour through the plant and was pretty impressed by what they do there. And I mean, they're just looking to build 20 houses a month out of that facility. I mean, they're around the one I seen yesterday was 1,300 square feet. You know, price point 350,000. So they can drop these on lots. So, I mean, it's definitely it's something that's right here in the back door. And you know, he's a developer and a builder, and everything is done right on site. It's pretty impressive. Anybody that's got time and he likes to show it off. And as I said, I've got some pictures. I was going to send them to Holly that I took of the inside of the facility that she can share with everybody. That way it's all in one group. But yeah, I had an amazing conversation over there yesterday. So we're looking on the right side down here, that's for sure.
Yep. You have a question, Dave?
No, not so much a question. We've been working with Flex Modular. They're in the Alumabunk building. Let's call it that. Everybody kind of remembers that. And they're going to do some good things, but I hate to put a pin in the balloon, but our policies haven't caught up at a planning level, I don't think, at the county to support this type of housing in our community. And I've been pushing this, but we have no place to put them because of the rural policies of citing these things. So I think, and there's some things that we need to do. We need to push the county to make these changes. I mean, multiple units per lot or whatever. But anyway, they are doing great things. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're taking sea containers and converting them into pretty nice structures. They'll do something as simple as that. So, and then we've got Casa Terra. They're going to be doing the same thing out in the Eco Park, across from, right across or beside Calhoun and Greenlit. So there's lots of things, but I get frustrated at not being able to keep up with planning policies that will allow us to cite these things because they don't want these wells and septic systems in the rural area.
Yeah.
So political push is what it's needed.
Definitely for that. And Mike, you said Chapleau as well up north? Like most of them were sounding like up north, and Chapleau is pretty far up there. So
That's
they're
what
getting around that by going on territorial land and probably reservations too. So the land cost is going to be a heck of a lot cheaper, if anything. So there's another political conundrum that's could stop it from coming down here too. But no, that's good. I should pop in there. Jerry, did you have your hand up?
Is Flex Modular, is that Darren Patey? Is he the principal there?
No, it's
No.
Tim Lawton.
Tim Lawton.
Okay. Michelle Patey, I believe, is the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce in Grey Highlands, and I understand that her husband Darren is involved in some kind of modular housing too in the area. So the other thing that I had come across, and I think I sent it out to everyone, was on South Grey News. It talked about Hanover. They have accessed some money from the county. It's their community improvement plan money to support them in building a total of 71 units that they're calling Attainable. So what I thought was I read that, and then I think John and Dave made the presentation to Hanover, and it's obvious that they're working on attainable housing, but they're still interested in working on a South Grey basis. So I thought that was pretty positive. So.
Yep, that's good.
Any
other comments from anyone?
Does the name?
Sorry, Dave.
There's another name that I've got here with Flex Modular. Tim Lawton is the principal. Agnes Lawton is that's the spouse, and then there's a partner, Matt Wanless. That wasn't a name, was it, Jerry?
No, it's Darren Patey is the fellow. I'll find out more information through Michelle at the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, the other guy that was there that did the tour with me, and he's the chief operations manager. His name was Sean Luby.
Okay.
And I said he walked through and he looks after the plant floor, and he used to be Tim's partner years ago in another adventure, and he's come back on to help Tim on this project. So
I know that everybody's got enough to do. I appreciate that and I respect that. But wouldn't it be neat if we did a few field trips? And we wouldn't all have to go to all of these different businesses, but it would be good if 2 or 3 of us could sort of drop in and just as Michael has done, and going to see Wilson Corp a few months ago, like just to sort of make sure the builders know that we are interested in what they're doing.
Yep, that's a good idea.
and like this place there is building these ones not out of sea containers. These ones are being built with wood and then being shipped out. I mean, just the design of the roof itself, how they can shingle something inside, let the roof flex down so they can ship it to Sudbury. And then Sean says it takes 45 minutes to put it on the foundation and put the 2 sides together and carry on. But yeah, as I said, they're moving right along. They're looking to hire another 20 to 30 people there. So they're looking for plumbers, they're looking for electricians. So yeah, they're in a growing stage right now. And if they get these other couple contracts, it's going to be good news for Southgate, that's for sure.
That's good. Okay.
If there's interest, we could coordinate something, maybe 2 or 3 events to attend in the one day. Go to Flex Modular. We could visit Casa Terra's site that they're looking to build a project with this type of housing, and maybe tour one of these units in Durham. So we could put that together if there's interest.
Yep. Well, for those who haven't seen the Durham one from Wilson, it was certainly an eye-opener. When they said a lot of them were attainable or affordable and the rest were market, they were still fairly priced for the rent, and they were actually really quite nice looking apartments or condos or whatever you wanted to call it. So that wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if somebody else hasn't been to them, but I could certainly find time. So alrighty. Anyone else? Comments? If not, we'll move along to the housing survey. Any comments? Jerry?
Sorry, go ahead, Holly.
Yes, Holly?
I was just going to speak to this one quickly.
By all means.
So our housing survey is live on our website through SurveyMonkey, and I'll just show everybody kind of what the page looks like. So this is a news item on our website. And if you select the link, it takes you directly to the survey. And then I just also wanted to note that 500 printed copies have been printed. And I believe that Dave has given those to Jerry to be distributed in the community.
That's great.
So I have given 50 copies of the survey to Crystal Ferguson at the Community Health Center. My intention is to give a good handful to Joan John for her work through the Junction group. And the other couple of other things that were bubbling. Well, actually, Crystal, I'll ask this question. Crystal Ferguson wondered if there could be a QR code incorporated into the survey. And I said, well, I could ask. It's way above my capabilities, but so that might be a question we can look into at some point. The other thing is that if the committee members support the idea of having a booth at the Dundalk Fall Fair and at the Seniors Fair, these surveys could be made available at both of those events to be filled out and collected. So.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Jennifer.
So I had mentioned at the last meeting that I would go into the schools over the next week or so when the principals are back. They're back, well, some of them are back now, but the last 2 weeks for sure. So do you want me to get copies from you, or do you want them to photocopy them at the school level, or how do you want to do that?
Well, I have 450 copies right now. There's no point of us getting too much paper tied up. Why don't I get them to you if you need to distribute them? We can always
Okay.
have them photocopied again. I think this the easier we make it for the school people, the better. So if we can deliver them the actual surveys and not
Yeah.
have them do the copying, that would.
Yeah, they prefer not to use their photocopy budget, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'll get back to you. I need to get the go-ahead first, and then I'll get the numbers, and then I'll get them to them, hopefully, if they're letting that go forward in the next couple weeks.
Jerry, I'm going to be at a booth for the Wesleyan Church on the Saturday of the fair. I can ask if I can have them there too,
Perfect. Yeah.
you know, and
For
then
sure.
put some in the actual church. So,
Yep.
and I don't know if there's any other ideas that anybody has about placing them. I don't know if you could really, the library would be a good place. You think, Muriel? Go ahead. Yep.
Definitely the library, but what about the food bank too?
Yeah, I think these were all discussed last meeting, the food bank and yeah, I believe anyway. Memory serves well.
So I think I had offered to do a distribution list, which I did not do. But I think we have covered like a lot of the possibilities already. If anyone has an idea where there could be a handful taken, let me know, and I can drop off a handful.
Well, if you want to drop off 75 to me, that'll be okay, Jerry. And
Sure.
Dave, you got something?
Yeah, if it's okay with the committee, I could give, say, 50 to the Good Food Box, and they could insert them in the baskets the next time around, which would be September.
And that won't be September. That's a great idea, actually.
Hmm.
And I think
I'm getting
they probably have 45 at the Good Food Box too. The numbers are around 45, aren't they, Dave?
45 to 50.
50. Yeah.
My feedback is that from one of my bosses here is that there's going in October, not starting in September this year.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But we can get it in that October run, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good.
All righty. Anything else? That sounded fairly good. If not, we'll go to new business, 8.1, the media relations campaign.
Sorry, Councillor Shenton.
Yes.
Just wondering if we can add the items 2.3 now for Dave to discuss the Roma task force.
Oh, certainly, yes. I'm looking at the old, yeah. Yep, go ahead, Dave.
Is this the Roma one? It's actually under 9.1, so why don't we catch it there? Or is that different?
That's a different article. That's the May article,
Okay.
not the one that was discussed at Roma.
Yeah. Okay, so I just gotta grab a prompt here. And I was at the AMO conference this time last week, I guess. Yes, and it was a really good conference. And I attended a Roma presentation on attainable housing. And I got this book in the center of the table. And here I thought it was a report. And all it is a book of lined paper. But anyway, the good news is that the report is or been distributed to you today. It's not as big as that book, but it is quite a lengthy report of about 30 some pages, 40 pages exactly. But you've got the backgrounder and the report, and I'll maybe just hit some highlights that I found interesting. They struggled with the word affordable very much, and they didn't even use the word affordable in their title. They've called it attainable because they feel the big miss is that we could help create affordable housing if we had that missing middle, that attainable housing, which is, 400,000, 500,000, 450, maybe 350. But there was a lot of talk about attainable housing projects and about more so, rent that is rental units. There's not enough rental units to get people into housing and so on. But there's some really good points. The 5 major things that they landed on was there needs to be clarity of provincial policy and legislation regulations to streamline processes because there's too much red tape. And that's, of course, Premier Ford's big thing. And we talked to him when he was in Southgate, the mayor and I, about housing and the challenges and what we're trying to do. And he was impressed by, again, the South Grey group. Give municipal governments authority and flexibility. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. We need more authority and flexibility at the lower tiers in our planning policies to get things done. Accelerate planning processes. Here we go again. Provide incentives to reduce long-term risks. And those incentives being lands, waiving development charges if they're maintained as a attainable, and rent geared to income type projects, and undertake tasks that get municipally approved housing projects out of the gate faster to reduce the cost. So, and then the next page of the backgrounder, which is quite informative, kind of hits on a few things. And what they're saying is with modern fixtures, we need to recalculate water and sewer capacity formulas, because if we did that, we would show that likely demonstrate we use less water and consume less sewer capacity with new builds today. And the way that would then drive the cost of development charges down because more homes could be built on the same amount of water and sewer infrastructure. And those on council know how expensive that is to develop. Support tiny homes is another initiative they are strongly promoting. Minimum distance setbacks with regard to agriculture needs to be considered so there's no conflicts in land uses, but still allow more development. Allow authorities or all authorities must understand the need for timely comments, and we have a lot of problems with some of these authorities, just taking their time getting back to us and not being timely on their comments. So the Ford government is putting in place penalties that, let's say they charge $200 or $300 or $500 for their comments and their study work to peer review a project. If they don't get it delivered in a certain time frame, they would have to give 50% of that application fee back. So there's a penalty for not delivering on time. The one big thing they talked about too is existing building stock should be leveraged to create new homes. So big homes should be incented or promoted or some way of incenting that they develop secondary suites within these bigger homes and put incentives in place to renovate vacant buildings and convert non-residential buildings into apartments. And there was even a discussion about higher taxes. So recently we got rid of what we call vacancy tax rebates on commercial industrial properties. That people that just leave them vacant don't get a reduction in taxes. And they were actually talking at the conference in some sessions related to housing is we actually need to start taxing at a higher level. Increase the taxes. If you're going to keep it vacant, that's your choice, but you're going to pay more taxes than if you allowed it to be used for housing, some sort of development. So I thought that was a rather a change in thinking, let's put it that way. And then again, review incentive programs, create new funding models that will support the housing projects. So it's a really good report. They've kind of gone grassroots on this. What I might propose, and I wasn't even aware of it because he's such a quiet guy, but Scott Taylor from County of Grey Planning Department, he's now the new director of planning. I wonder if we should, or if you want, the committee wants, we could invite him to a meeting, either next meeting or the meeting after that, and he could talk about the work that the committee did, because he was a member of that committee of people that were from all over Ontario to create this report. There was planners, there was consultants, there was council members, economists, you name it, they were on there. CEOs, mayors, commissioners of community and planning housing for the District of Muskoka. So it kind of goes on and on. But anyway, good report, and you should have it in your email box now. You're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we got it a little bit later today, but I hope everyone gives it a good read. And I'm sure there's something in there we could use. And Dave, if or whomever, if we can get Scott to give a meeting, I think that would be apropos. I think that would be very good. So what do you think, Jerry?
I think so. I still firmly respect and encourage the thought that we've talked about it with this group over the months, and that there's been so much talking done. It's time to do some doing. And however we get there, we've got to get there sooner rather than later. And if one of the ways is to talk to somebody who's involved with planning at the county level that maybe have some impact in trying to change some of the zoning and the regulations and sort of streamline this process. So yeah, I firmly think support you, Martin, in that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. And it would give everybody a chance to read the 42 odd pages and actually make notes and have some good questions for the man. All righty. Well, thank you, Dave. Just curious, when they were going through the report and about the higher taxes for vacant land, was that well received by a lot, or was there a lot of discussion about that between the applicant or the people there?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, municipalities are a little bit tired of it.
Yep.
Because we get these people that come in and buy properties and investing in it, and then they try and rent it for these crazy rents, and there's not enough money, they don't think, in it to get the rent to help pay for those that investment, so they just leave it vacant and look to property appreciation to make their money.
Yeah. And it's a double-edged sword because they let it go so badly that they could have got a little bit more money if they actually fixed it up. So yeah, they're doing themselves a disfavor as well as the community. Any other questions about that then? Seeing none, let's go to, and thanks for pointing that out, Holly, 7.3. 8, new business, 8.1, media relations. Jerry?
I would just like to make a brief introduction. First of all, I just want to welcome Jordan here tonight. And I want to just make sure the committee knows how lucky I think we are to have someone come along with the background that Jordan has and is willing to spend a bit of time with us. Jordan and I met a few days ago, and just so that you sort of have some context of where we're heading with this, the idea would be to develop an awareness package. So there would be one set of information that would go out on behalf of the Affordable Attainable Housing Advisory Group. It could be then used, it could be distributed to the public, it could be put on the website, it could be given to the media, and hopefully it could also be given to all of the candidates for the upcoming municipal election. The idea of having one package is then that there's not conflicting information floating around. There's one set of information. So I'm going to turn this over to Jordan, and we have sent his presentation to Holly, and she's going to share it with the committee tonight. So thanks. Go ahead, Jordan.
Great. Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. So I had met with Jerry, like he had mentioned, and we our first step, some work that I was completing was to create a package, like he said. Hopefully it's concise enough. We don't want to overload people with information and get, the real main point of what this committee is focusing on out to any people that would be interested in that kind of information. So the document is split into three main sections. The first being just some statistics that kind of highlight, affordable housing in the area, what's going on, in Southgate, in Grey County, and kind of on a provincial level, to just make aware to people who maybe don't, haven't really thought about affordable housing or don't know the issues that are accompanied by the topic, can kind of see what's going on and seeing the direction and the work of groups like us and other government bodies of what solutions they're trying to provide to address this issue. So within that first section, statistics surrounding affordable housing, I included just some stuff, including the definition of affordable housing, which we know is the not exceeding 30% of gross annual income, and then kind of reference that back to some figures I found in the Grey County Housing and Homelessness Plan in their 5-year review, which stated, 8,000 households fall into an income bracket where that average market rent would not be affordable. So I'm just trying to start that conversation for people who may not think that affordable housing is a issue, within Southgate or within Grey County as a whole, but it indeed is, like, based on real statistics that have been already gathered by other bodies. All the facts that I used in this document are referenced at the bottom. I think it's important to, and Jerry had mentioned that as well. It's important to be talking from, real fact, not maybe opinions that we feel as a committee. So going further than that, there's some other stats that try to touch on the topic. Recognition of affordable housing on a provincial scale, with the goal to add 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. This is, not just something that we're experiencing in Southgate or locally. This is a province-wide thing that's a lot of attention is being garnered towards. The need for increased support specifically in rural areas, that was recognized by service providers dealing with affordable housing. And that one also touches, I think, on an important note of hidden homelessness, which I think is pretty important within Southgate. Some people could say, maybe argue that affordable housing isn't an issue here because they don't see homeless people in Dundalk or in Holstein, but a hidden homelessness obviously is a thing that is likely prevalent in the area, and an important note to look to include and back with statistics. The last kind of topic or stat I used to round out was just a breakdown of the current affordable housing units across Southgate, which I'm not sure if that's totally correct, but that's the info I grabbed off of Grey County's affordable housing site. And then I wanted to parallel that with, there's 65 units in Southgate, and the waiting list in Ontario, in the most recent figure, is 171,000 people are looking for rent geared to income housing. So you can kind of see between those two figures that, there is a base of affordable housing, but there's likely a need for much more. And I think that parallel could be more easily made if we did have more local info as opposed to just Ontario. I'm not sure if that's available. But I did try to keep it as, Southgate first, then Grey County, and then provincial, just based on the information I could find. So I think I was hoping that those combination of facts would synthesize the issue of, affordable housing. It's a real issue right now that is prevalent in Southgate, and, work should be done to combat that. And that was really just the main goal of the first section. The second section focused on kind of the current state or current efforts of the committee. And all I really included in this section were the responsibilities outlined in the terms of reference document, as well as the 7 priority tasks identified by the committee. And that just kind of shows, the work that has been undertaken since the inception of this committee in 2021, where the priorities are, and the next tangible steps that we're looking to include or looking to take as we move forward. if there's any other completed, I have a footnote there at the bottom, if there's any other completed goals or accomplishments that would be noteworthy to include, I would look for that kind of feedback from the rest of you at this point. I don't know, obviously, everything that's been accomplished, and I was just pulling from all the documents that Jerry provided me. So that would be pretty valuable if there's other accomplished checks that the committee has done that we can say, hey, this is what we've done so far. And then the last section was kind of next steps, the future goals of the committee. And again, the main content in this is just the South Grey Affordable Housing Strategy and the corporation that has been pitched in the last couple months, and the goals to bring that to fruition with the other municipalities. And again, if there's any other big future endeavors focused on by this committee that you would think would make sense to include in here, I'd obviously look for that feedback. But that's where I kind of started with some great direction from Jerry. And I've already made a couple small grammatical and format changes since this document. So if I would be able to share that with the group for their feedback at this point, I'm not sure how that would work, but I would just like to send an updated copy. So obviously looking for everyone's feedback on that, and hopefully this document can be used of some value in the situations mentioned by Jerry. Wherever a summary would be valuable, and especially if it could be in some use in this upcoming fall election.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Jordan, sorry, Jerry. Jordan, with the media, did you mean newspapers too? That
Yeah, I would
be kind
have
of
to.
a lengthy tome to put in the newspapers. It'd have to be shortened up quite a bit, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure how that would work if we would.
Yeah.
If we would more so provide to media outlets like the local newspapers that are engaging with the election, so they have a bit of background knowledge if that topic comes up and whatever their coverage may be. I would defer to you guys for a little expertise on that.
Okay.
I think we could make Jordan's entire document available to the media. And if we were concerned about the information as it was going to be published, we could probably, we could maybe put together a press release that would cover the main points. The other thing that we need to be careful of, and that is just that we do on this committee serve at the pleasure of the council. And so anything that is going to be going out in print or to the public, in as much as I think there needs to be some autonomy and independence in this committee, I do also believe that it needs to be respectful of the work that has already been done by the council and by administration. And so we would look to have this material reviewed by the administration just to make sure that we are not overstepping or understepping.
Yep. That's a good idea, Jerry. Good idea.
I think just to jump on with Jerry, what Jerry's saying, I think that's a good point. And we could make it fairly simplistic, that maybe template it as this would be something we would put on the consent agenda, and the three councilors will know clearly what I mean there. And just, this is meant for public release to the press or to whatever. The one other thing, and I think if we release it to the press, they could do a story based on this information, because there's a lot of good detailed information there. The one thing that came to mind as Jordan was presenting is maybe we should be out on the road selling this a bit to the Optimist Club, the Ag Society, the Lions Club, Generation Connection, maybe church groups or whatever, to just tell the story of what this committee's doing and maybe engage them and create some thought that they might, have an idea. I mean, do they have land that they would be interested in putting towards this? We're working with the Lions Club on the medical center conversion, but is there others that might have great ideas? And the optimists are good ones, and
good idea.
Ag Society.
Okay.
So our timeline that we had talked about, the fairs coming up and the seniors fair and the election, we talked, Jordan and I had talked about the possibility of having this document ready for release by the 6th of September. Now, the other side of that is Jordan has also got a life of his own that he's got to look after, and I've encouraged him to be very, very careful that he doesn't get too wrapped up in this at the expense of his own career goals. But if that were a possibility to sort of the 6th or the 7th to have the document ready for release, we could then put it out at the time of the fair. We could have it available, or we could get it out to the media. But again, it will require all of the committee members to take a good hard look at this document and add things that have that we've missed, or express opinions about whether, you know, are there things that we need to shove to the front and highlight more. So and I think that process, Jordan, that you were wondering about, I think if you sent the document, your corrected document, to Holly, then Holly, you would send it out to the committee members. Is that correct? Okay. Yep.
That is correct. Yeah, if you can send that to me, Jordan, I'll make sure that it's included in minutes of today's meeting.
Yep, and then we can send our comments in and it'll be approved or be adjusted again, I guess. So that's great. Good. Yes, Holly.
Okay, good.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna go, like for a formal approval, it would have to be done at a committee meeting.
Yeah.
And the next committee meeting is not until after the seniors fair and the like the fall fair, sorry.
So it's, but it would be well before the election, which is on the 24th, isn't it, of October? So if we had it ready to be reviewed then by the committee in at the September meeting, then that's probably a more reasonable timetable anyway. So
Okay.
If
Is that
there's
agreeable with?
any,
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
if there's any part of this that you want council's blessing on, your opportunities are September 7th and September 21st. And with that said, and there is one more meeting in October, the first Wednesday in October, and that's the last council meetings we had. But I would say you've discussed this document today. If you want to critique it a bit, I think it has the committee's blessing. You want to critique it a bit and get it submitted to Holly by September 1st. That could get council's approval in the consent agenda on the 7th of September for the seniors fair and for the eggs or the fall fair. So that's just some options.
So back to Holly's.
Yeah, Holly, you had a comment?
Sorry, back to Holly's concern then about having it approved by the committee at the next meeting, which would be September. Are we at liberty to do this before that, as long as we have, we do it by email or by, no, you're okay.
Yeah, no, you would have to likely approve it tonight. And then whatever amendments they would just need to be friendly amendments. So for like grammar, formatting, that type of thing. Otherwise, like we can't approve anything unless we have a committee meeting and there's a quorum present.
My comment was going to be along those same lines. Jordan, I read through it. I read through it when Holly put it on the screen, and I thought it was perfect. You know, the only open area for me while reading that was the bottom with the asterisk saying, you know, is there anything else that we could put in there that we've done great things? Well, that's going to be the organic part of this thing that you made, because there's going to be some for the next 3 months, probably good things doing. So when you're saying you're making a new draft, is it just typos or grammatical, like you said? Is there anything really drastically changing from the one we read tonight?
No, if everyone else was happy that I wasn't missing any large gaps and, like I said, accomplishments so far, I want to open the table for that. But if everyone's happy, then it would just be a few, yeah, grammatical and formatting things.
Yeah, because then we could approve it tonight. If there is anything that you want to change, like if you missed a comma, you didn't dot your T's or cross your I's, as they say, then we could do friendly amendments at the next one. But at least we get out there for the three that we've been talking about: the fair, the seniors fair, and getting it out for the election and the media. So I guess we have to put a motion forward. Well, I suggest that we accept the work done by Jordan, and we move forward with it as it is. I'm not very good at that. You can probably change those wordings for me, Holly.
Yeah, I can put it up on the screen, and then we would just need a mover and a seconder who is not the
Yep.
chair.
I'm totally supportive of going ahead and doing this. I would make the motion, except that I kind of have a little bit of conflict, I think, on this. I totally support it, but I don't think perhaps I should move it.
Well, that's a good point. You were in close working with Jordan, so we'll read it. Be it resolved, excuse me, Media Relations Campaign Update. Be it resolved that the committee approved the Southgate Affordable Attainable Housing Advisory Committee information package to be distributed to the Township of Southgate Council at a future council meeting in September for consideration. And that's it on the floor. Any more discussion on it? Muriel?
I'm just wondering, like, if we were successful in getting it on the council agenda for the 7th of September, will we be able to have it available for the fair then?
Yes.
That we can move that fast?
Sure. If you approve it tonight, we can get it on the council agenda. That would go on the 1st of September, publishing for September 7th. And then I think the fair's, what is it, the 9th or the 10th?
Because
Okay.
And then the next week.
I would be happy to support this motion, knowing that we will get a chance still to review it perhaps in more detail with a little more time. But I think the information or the publicity and the public information is just so important right now. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, and we'll have time to review it because the meeting's on the 7th. We get the agenda way before, and it'll be on the website for you to read, Muriel. So we can all have access to it way before the meeting. So if there's no other comments, do we have a mover and seconder for this?
I would move it.
Okay, Muriel, anyone else? Michael?
Yeah, I'll second it because I believe that we need something, and I think this is a start, and we have to make some changes. We can make some changes. Friendly amendments can be made at any point in time. Just got to open it up.
Okay, that's that then. That will be carried. So thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jerry. So, yes, Jerry?
Just one further item related to the Dundalk Fall Fair and the Seniors Fair, which is on the 19th, I think.
Seniors
Jordan,
21st.
Oh, sorry, 21st. Jordan had put a mock-up with his information just of what 3 sections of, if we had a table with 3 sections just mirroring these same 3 that he presented tonight, I think we could put that together. And I guess I should ask you, Jordan, if you're able to be part of preparing this for the 2 fairs, and if you could help us get that together, I would then be looking for people to volunteer from the committee to sort of be part of this booth over the course of the Dundalk Fair and the Seniors Fair. So I guess the question to you, Jordan, is do you see in the next 2 weeks that you might have time to help us put together the display for the fairs?
Yeah, absolutely. I can put together that. That should be no problem. The only questions I had about that, thinking about this, was what steps need to be taken with those fair organizers to allocate us some space. And if that's something you'd like me to look into as well.
I think Muriel.
We actually have a planning meeting tomorrow, and I will bring up space for the housing committee then to be available with Ellie, who's our chair. We were hoping housing committee would be able to attend, so this is great.
And I will contact the Dundalk Fair people, and I'll speak for a booth there.
Awesome, great. Okay. So if we're all done with that, we will move to 9, correspondence. Be it resolved that the committee. Yes, Holly.
Jennifer just has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Sorry.
So it's okay. A couple of things. One is, can somebody speak more about how they're seeing the QR code being used on the survey? Do they want it on the survey, on the printed copies, or as a link? What were you thinking about that? The QR code.
In the conversation I had with Crystal, it was she just made the point that for some people it's easier for them to snap off a poster the QR code and then fill the survey out and then ship it off by email. So,
right. Okay. So imagining having that on the display board as an easy thing that people can do with their cell phones that know how to do that with their smartphones. Is that what you're thinking?
That would be super, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be super.
So then I'm going to ask Jordan, is that something you have the tech ability to do?
Yeah,
or how does that work with Holly and the Survey Monkey and the website and all that?
Yeah, you can make QR codes pretty easily. I've done it in the past, in my past place of employment. There's a Google tool that does it, and all you need is the link, the URL to the survey. So I could put the URL in, make a QR code, post that as part of the display, and people just scan it with their smartphone cameras, and it'll bring them directly to the page that Holly had brought up on the screen earlier.
Perfect.
That's awesome, Jerry.
I would just like to make it clear with Jordan, you're not to spend resources of your own, or if you do end up spending out of pocket, you need to let Hobby, you let me know, and I'll work it out with the township. Okay.
Okay. Very good.
Jennifer? And I also wanted to say to Muriel that I am available the weekend of the Seniors Fair to somehow support at the public relations piece at the whatever we put together, if that's happening there. Not the fall fair. We have a family wedding. Oh, Mary can put my name down for that.
That's great.
Okay. Any other comments, Jerry?
Just one, and this is sort of a nitpicking little thing. I'm wondering if in the future we should maybe just call our this part of our agenda the media relations update rather than the campaign. If we should maybe remove campaign from that, simply because it's confusing with maybe the election campaign that's coming up.
I'm okay with that. Everybody else? Yep. There you go. Done. Good point, Jerry. Okay, we'll go to 9, correspondence. Be it resolved that the committee receive the items of correspondence consent agenda dated August 23rd, 2022 as information. I need a mover and a seconder. Jennifer? Muriel, seconded. Thank you. Is there anyone that we'd like to pull, not pull, just talk about? Jerry?
I sent the barn dominiums article to everyone. And I guess it's just, to me, it highlights this ironic situation that we're in, that in some places people can convert barns and live in barns, and we can't seem to get affordable, attainable housing on the go. So it just seems like it can happen places. We just need to figure out how other places are doing stuff. That's all.
Well, Jerry, I'll admit I never did get a chance to read that. Where was this, Ontario?
I can't remember. I thought it was Western Canada, I thought.
Oh, was it?
Okay, well, anyway. Any discussion on any other? Jennifer, go ahead.
So I mentioned this to Jerry in a previous conversation. So I know for a fact people that are doing that in the township of Southgate, and I've had people kind of question that around, like, getting around taxes and all sorts of, gray areas as far as zoning and bylaws. And I just wondered if those two issues were connected. People that are setting up residential accommodations in their barns or their drive sheds that are also serving the public with some type of a business. So that's probably not allowed at this point through our zoning bylaws. Is that the case?
Well, I would think so, but Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I know of one instance, and I'm sure there's many others that, there is some sliding around taxation that we're not aware of. One example is, they're trying to put, say, a repair business, automotive repair business in the same structure as a residence. So some problems there are fire separations and air circulation that does the exhaust from the shop get up into this. So we have to be concerned about fire safety and public and health safety and so on. So some of these are flying under the radar that we don't know about, some we do know about. And I think if done right, it can be a viable option that we could explore and utilize. But because I know we built a shop here that beside our driving shed. We insulated it very well, and it's amazing with no heat in it how warm it can be if you insulate right nowadays. So this is a neat and likely very affordable way to put up a housing structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification. I just wondered if that ties in with anything that's under the auspices of our committee or decision making around recommendations to council to do with barn dominiums.
Well,
Okay.
I would suggest is let's take off our blinders and challenge the establishment, the planners, to say, hey, I mean, why not? Because you could likely put that facility that you're looking at in front of us here for a couple $100,000.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And we know people building bunkies and have people staying in them and what have you. So John, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, and I think things like this are workable. The problems really come around life safety. Whether it's got the inspected proper wiring, proper smoke detectors, all that kind of stuff, and that the structure is safe. And that's to me what it really comes around. And I think we've shown that, well, at least this council has been open to any of the ideas that we can try and come up with. So, yeah, I see no problem trying to look forward with this.
That's good. Okay. Anybody else for anything on the correspondence? Any comments? I was just glad to read the one from South Gray News. That was a good piece of work. And then it mentioned the tiny homes too, and the barn dominions afterwards and what have you. So anyway, it's all good. And just hold on a second. I'm not very good at doing 2 screens at a time, I can tell you that. Okay, so if there's no other comments, we had a move and second for number 9. The next meeting obviously is September 27th, 2020 at 2 p.m. And Holly, did I do something wrong again?
No, I did this time. It's at 2 p.m. and that's a mistake. It's actually at 7 p.m. So I will correct that in the minutes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so September 22nd at 7 p.m. So, Jerry?
Just a little bit of procedure so that we can stay on track with Jordan's report and his work. Any comments after people have had a chance to, members have had a chance to thoroughly go through the document? If there are things that come up, let's send them in right away. Do you want them sent right to you, Jordan? Is that probably the most efficient? So,
Yeah, that was great.
send them directly to Jordan, and then he can incorporate them. And then I will stay in touch with Jordan too, over just so that we get this to the administration to have a review in time before the council meetings.
All right then, sounds great. Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll go right to the end of the adjournment, and be it resolved that the committee adjourn the meeting at, I have 7 minutes after 8, 8:07. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good evening.
Thanks.
You too.
Night.
We'll see some of you tomorrow, I guess. Okay. Blessings.